So this is training tutorial part 2 of how to read and interpret a CardioRisk CIMT report, carotid intermedia thickness test. Stay tuned. Before we get going here, quick reminder. Every artery scan I've ever done is in the description box to this video as a PDF file. You can click on it, view it online, download it, so you don't have to just rely upon what I'm showing you in the video here. You can actually go get the scan reports, and I've done all the artery scans, coronary artery calcium scans, CT angiogram, and several CIMT scans, okay? So go get the reports so you can see exactly what I'm doing. This is the most transparent YouTube channel anywhere you can find. Right, so this is part 2 of how to interpret a CardioRisk scan report, okay? If you've not watched part 1, go back and watch it, otherwise you're gonna end up getting confused. Now, I have to do it on every video. I have to nag at you, I have to be your bloody mother, I don't know why, I don't know why you haven't done this. You haven't gotten the scan, and I know you haven't, okay? So, pause the video right now. Go to CardioRisk.com, register for a CIMT, find out where the nearest one is to you. I don't care if it's a 3-hour drive. You're going to go get this scan done, okay? Because we're going to save your life. We're going to save you from horrible pain and suffering, right? It's worth it. You're just going to do this once a year, all right? It's $250, and if you, sometimes you can get it a bit cheaper than that, and you're just going to do it once a year. And I'm going to explain to you why it's so important at the end of the video. So you've got to watch until the end, okay? So please go get the scan, okay? I don't want you dropping dead on me. I don't want you being maimed for life. All right, and then you go, when you get the scan report, you can go pay a cardiologist to try to explain it, and they won't explain it anywhere near as well as I'm doing, okay? So watch part 1 of the video, then this is part 2. This is going to focus on intermedia thickness, the number, okay? The reason you need to track your mean IMT every year is because it's like being on a train, going towards a train station. And the train station is not a happy destination, the final train stop on the line, okay? And you've got to see how fast you're moving down the train track, or slow, all right? This is why you've got to get this number every year. It doesn't replace blood work, but what it does is it allows you to assess, hey, how am I doing? Just overall, you're on a train with these IMT numbers year after year. It's going to a destination. All right, so I'm going to focus on intermedia thickness today in part 2, like I said. This is my scary report from a year ago when I did the exam in June 2025 at the age of 57. Got told I had the artery age of a 78-year-old, patient intermedia thickness, can you see right here, 0.92. Now, the average CCA mean IMT, again, in the middle of the table, same number, 0.92, high risk, red color. You see on the right-hand side, there's an alert value of 0.73. So if I was below 0.73, then instead of being in the red column, I'd either be moderate yellow or green normal, okay? And they get the alert value from looking at the chart of what is typical for people my age, or in your case, your age. So that goes down to the bottom left corner here. You can see the chart. The blue line is men, the pink line is women. This is intermedia thickness mean for men and women. It goes up as we age. It's just a function of aging. It goes up for pretty much everyone, healthy people, sick people. It's very unusual to have it go down. The thickness, the inner lining of your artery wall tends to increase as we age. So you can see up here, I'm the red dot, 0.92 millimeters is the IMT thickness on the left, age on the bottom, at the age of 57. I should have been, if I was quote unquote normal, approximately 0.73 where I'm moving the mouse, but it was all the way up here, which correlates over here on the right hand side to my 78 years artery age. So that's where the alert value comes from. when you go back up the report, this 0.73 value here, that is looking at what is the mean for my age, and it's probably just a little higher than that, and saying, so if you're sufficiently higher than what is typical for your age, we're going to mark you moderate elevated risk, or we're going to mark you high risk. And obviously I was substantially above it, as you can visually see on the chart. In fine print, which I'm going to highlight with the mouse here, and when you get your own report, you'll see this more clearly. I don't know how this comes up on the video. You can see that they're saying that a progression rate of 0.03 millimeters or greater 1 year to the next increases the risk of future events significantly. Okay, so that's 0.034 millimeters increases the risk of events significantly. I'm going to talk about this in a second with respect to Dr. Johnston, Lily Johnston, because she just posted some of her own recent CIMT scan results with CardioRisk. All right, so just have that in your head. 0.034 millimeters or higher, increase year on year, significantly increases your risk. So here's the question, right? When you look at this IMT value, for me, 0.92 millimeters, very high at the age of 57. If I were to try to lower that, which is unusual because the trend line just keeps going up, how much of that would be measurement noise? And what CardioRisk have said in their materials, you can get this on the website, that they have the technology down so tight with intima media thickness that their standard deviation is 0.02 millimeters. Let me repeat that, 0.02 millimeters, standard deviation. Measurement noise, if you will. Imagine you get on the scale, you're weighing yourself in the morning, you get up in the morning, you're naked, you get on the scale and it says 160 pounds. You step off for 10 seconds, step on again, and now it says 160.1. Well, you're the same weight. It's the same scale. There's always going to be a minute measurement noise factor. And because CardioRisk technology is so good, they've gotten that down to 0.02 millimeters. So think about this logically. In order to decide or assess, hey, if I get this number down, which is unusual to start with, I'm going to need to get it down by more than a certain number of standard deviations because it's going to be measurement noise on the next scan in addition to this one. So think of it this way. You want to get to say that you've got real biological change from one IMT number to another. You've got to be greater than 2 standard deviations. In other words, greater than at least 0.04, right? And arguably you could say 3 standard deviations. You've got to get beyond the measurement noise to say, okay, now probability-wise, you're looking at real physiological, biological change as opposed to just measurement noise, okay? So that's the standard deviation for IMT. Now, plaque burden here, you can see 3.1 millimeters. I explained in part 1 where that number comes from. The measurement noise factor there is greater. It's actually, the standard deviation is 0.3 millimeters. And so you've got to, you've got to be looking at greater than 2 standard deviations. So greater than 0.6 millimeters in this number before you could plausibly say, hey, that's physiological, biological change, okay? And that's just a feature or a function of the ultrasound technology. When they're looking at plaque burden, they're looking at specific discrete areas, lesions. And so it's not going to be as watertight in terms of its measurement as an IMT number would be, right? Because it's a handheld device looking at a particular discrete area. Whereas IMT, intima media thickness, they take 300 measurements, like I said in part 1, on the left-hand side, 300 measurements on the right, total of 600 with a standard deviation of 0.02, and then they correlate the mean from those 600 measurements. So the IMT value is going to be much tighter than plaque burden in terms of, hey, what do I need to do to move the needle beyond what would be measurement noise? Basically, you want to think of plaque burden as being, do you have it or not? Rather than, are you 3.1 or are you 3.3 or 2.8? That doesn't really move, that doesn't mean much, okay? Because like I said, you got to go beyond 0.6 millimeters on plaque burden before you can start thinking it means much. So really speaking, once you get this report, your plaque burden is, do you have plaque or not? And that's the central focus, right? Thereafter, what's your IMT? Because that is something that you can track moving forward with a high degree of specificity and with a low measurement noise factor, okay? So that's why when you get your plaque burden number, it is what it is. And then you want to really switch to thinking about monitoring your IMT as you age, okay? So let's just go back down to this chart, which is going to be the focal point of this part 2. Here's the trend lines, right? Men and women, there's my dot, 0.92, very high last year. So if you start tracking this when you're young, you can see over time, where are you vis-a-vis the trend line for someone your gender and your age. So when I looked at this, I thought, okay, well, where are they getting the data from behind these trend lines? And this is on the right-hand side here, this verbiage where I'm moving the mouse. They pulled from 5 different population cohorts, 5 different population studies. And I believe that it was excluded with those who had known coronary heart history were excluded. And they also excluded, this is very important, in the final sentence, it says, it's important to note these studies do not account for the highest risk patients, those who died from the disease. So think about it this way, with these lines you're looking at on the left-hand side. They excluded people who died. Now, people who died probably had worse IMTs, right? So if you included that data from the people that didn't make it, these trend lines where my mouse is moving would probably be higher at a greater level than what you see on this chart. So I like to make the rather unfortunate joke that my IMT up here at 0.92 millimeters at the age of 57 probably correlates with people who didn't make it. I've got the IMT of dead people. Pardon my sense of humor, but that's just a fact that they excluded people that died from the disease. Nonetheless, the people that are left in these 5 populations, they're not only healthy people, so they're more general population. So you're going to get people in here that are diabetics, overweight, smokers, hypertensive, so on and so forth. So just out of curiosity, I went to AI and I said, hey, AI, can you go look at those population cohorts that are just predominantly healthy people and plot me an IMT line for just that population? Because it's just an interesting exercise to see where are you vis-a-vis healthy people your age as compared to, the more of a general population, which is what this chart is. And I'm going to bring something up there for us in a second. Before I bring up my healthy cohort lines, let me just show you a year later. I haven't done a video on this yet, so you're getting a sneak preview, right? This is my results 1 year later, June of 2026. I'm just going to scroll up to the top. You can see a year later, my patient IMT is 0.81 millimeters. My arterial age went down to 66 as a result. So when you go down to the bottom left corner of the screen, the red dot has come down quite a bit, right? So still elevated risk, but down. Point being, going back to the standard deviation issue, my IMT was 0.92. Now it's 0.81, okay? That's 0.11 change. Remember what I told you about the standard deviation? The standard deviation is 0.02 millimeters. So I am way beyond 2 standard deviations. In fact, 0.11 is greater than 5 standard deviations. In other words, I can say with a pretty high degree of confidence that a change from 0.92 to 0.81 is in fact biological, physiological, real improvement in my artery wall thickness, okay? It's beyond, way beyond what would be measurement noise. And as a result, my average CCA max region number came down. And you can see also here, the plaque burden number came down. A year ago, it was 3.1, now it's 2.8. But like I said, bear in mind, I could go making videos, oh, look, my plaque is melting and all this stuff. And I kind of did one a few months ago. That's probably, I think, my biggest viewed one, which, I don't want to say I regret, but I like to be intellectually honest. I went from 3.1 to 2.8. Okay, which is better than going above it, but it's still within the measurement noise area. It's not greater than 0.6 millimeters, right? For you to be able to say, hey, that's real physiological change in plaque burden. So, going down to some of the details, I noticed that my right bulb was 1.8, now it's 1.5. Again, not still within the measurement noise, sort of arena, but better. So while I can't claim that the plaque burden change is definitively physiologically meaningful, I can claim that with IMT. So I just like to be intellectually honest with this stuff because there's a lot of bollocks on the internet with people who are not intellectually honest, and they kind of misrepresent things, okay? So IMT is really the name of the game once you know, in terms of tracking, once you know you've got plaque. Plaque is are you pregnant or not? You got plaque or not? Think of it this way, you had a heart attack or not? You've got to think of yourself as like someone in secondary prevention if you've got plaque, in terms of how aggressive you are with trying to, manage your risk. At this point, I just want to play a video related to this highlighted section. Remember what I said again, a progression rate of 0.034 millimeters or greater year on year significantly increases risk. Dr. Lily Johnston, who is an MD with a YouTube channel, getting quite popular, recently posted her CardioRisk CIMT results. She's also a CardioRisk tech, so she's extremely familiar with these scan results. And I think she's 42 years old now. Let's just play her recent video, or a snippet from it, where she's talking about the change in her IMT.
I promised you guys I would give you my CIMT results, and here they are. Honestly, I'm pretty disappointed. The very first thing you see at the top is this box that says patient age and arterial age. This is really where we focus our attention, and this is why even though that's green and it looks like it's okay, I'll tell you why I'm disappointed. My actual age is 42 years old. My arterial age is 42 years old. That is concordant. It should be fine. But when I had this done 2 years ago, my arterial age was about a decade younger than my chronologic age. And what that means is that there's been a significant progression in the IMT, or intimal medial thickness, in my arteries. And that's a little disappointing, right? Like, my health is the best it's been in 2 years, and yet I still have some progression of my IMT, more than I'm comfortable with. But let me go through those numbers and show that to you here. So arterial age is actually derived from the next number in the top right of this box that says patient IMT, 0.54 millimeters. That is also the same number from this second row down in the next table that says average CCA, common carotid artery, mean or average IMT, 0.54. So this is the IMT number that came from those 600 measurements we talked about from those pictures, okay? That's the same as patient IMT, and the way that this converts into arterial age is based on population norms. I will show you that graph in a couple of minutes here, but just suffice it to say that this is really the number that matters. When you have serial exams through CardioRisk, they will show you what the last measurements were. So if we scroll over here to the right, you can see my last visit from 2024, my IMT was 0.47. That is not an enormous change, but it's more than 0.34 per year, basically. And that is right on the threshold of kind of an accelerated level of thickening or change. So I'm not super pleased with that.
So in sum, from what she's saying, Dr. Johnston, she was 0.54 millimeters recently at the age of 42, when she was 0.47 millimeters at the age of 40. So at the age of 42, as she herself indicated, she's right at the pink line here where I'm putting the mouse for her age. So she's quote unquote normal, but what she correctly noticed and is focusing on something that I'm encouraging you to focus on, which is the trajectory. She increased by 0.07 millimeters in 2 years, which is slightly greater than the 0.034 annual increase that significantly increases events. So while she's at the quote-unquote normal line today, she used to be quite far below it and has suddenly shot up to it in the last 2 years. So what I did with AI is I said, these are CardioRisk sort of general population cohorts, minus the dead people, minus known cardiovascular risk people, but they do include healthy people. Go find population cohorts that are predominantly just healthy people, and plot my values on that chart. And for fun, I said, plot Lily Johnston's values on it, right? And then for even extra fun, I said, plot Dr. Ford Brewer's numbers on it, because he does CardioRisk scans. He's a low-carb, keto kind of a guy. And let's have the 3 dots and the trend lines on a chart that is predominantly just healthy people. And here we have it. So these trend lines here, the blue and the pink, blue is men, pink is women, going up, age on the bottom axis, mean IMT on the left vertical axis, and in the teeny footprint at the bottom is just the population cohorts that AI used to pull this data from. And you can play with this yourself. You can go to AI and say, hey, give me this population, not that population. I want to include these. You can do whatever you want, right, to create charts that you think might be more applicable than CardioRisk chart. There's nothing wrong with CardioRisk population cohort charts. I just like to play with it a little bit, and you can, in this way, I kind of want to say, what is more, strip out more unhealthy people, and what would those lines look like? So these lines would be a bit lower than CardioRisk's lines. So you can see me up here. I'm up here at the top, age 57. These are all CardioRisk results, right? Lily Johnston does CardioRisk. I do CardioRisk. Ford Brewer, MD, does CardioRisk. And the numbers I get for Ford Brewer are what he's talked about on his YouTube channel, just like Lily Johnston, what she's talked about, right? So here am I, age 57, all the way up here, 0.92, and in 1 year I've come down to 0.81 a year later, which is greater than 5 standard deviations, okay? This is what Lily Johnston's concern is in her video, right? You can see she was doing great 2 years ago, comfortably below the normal line for her age, well below it, and then she suddenly shot up. She's at it, so she's not above it. But you can imagine, this is the concern, right? If she continues on this trajectory, 0.07 millimeters every 2 years, her line's going to go like this, where my mouse is going. It's going to go like that. She's going to, it's the concern here is the sudden, sharp trajectory rather than the absolute number. And here we have Ford Brewer, his trajectory, he's at about the trend line for his age. But, I have a little bit of an issue with Ford in that he presents himself on YouTube as like, I regressed plaque, blah, 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 blah. The facts show, looking at his scan results, that he regressed his intermedia thickness 11 years ago, 1 year, when he was using a different scanning company. And in recent years, as you can see here on the chart, his intermedia thickness has been going up. His carotid plaque burden hasn't really changed at all. So he's not explaining it correctly. He's correlating intermedia thickness, the regression he saw once 11 years ago, with plaque, and that's not the same thing at all. Intermedia thickness is the mean up and down the highway, which may include plaque lesions or not. So Ford is going up, his train's going up, Lily's going up, and yours truly, horribly high, is sharply going down. So you know what that means, don't you? These are medical doctors, I'm not. Then you should go subscribe to their YouTube channel. Find out how you can decrease intermedia thickness, because they know and I don't. Look, what do you want from my life? I've got to make some jokes, okay? They've got big YouTube followings where you've got to reduce the atherosclerotic risk, and their trend lines for intermedia thickness are all going up. Medical doctors. Yours truly, who did this pretty much without going to a medical doctor. I do have one. He's a smart guy, but, I'm sure he thinks I'm a pain in the ass. Anyway, that's what these lines look like. So let's say you're Simon Hill and you're looking at this, and you might play with AI or look at CardioRisk chart. I think Simon's 39, blue line. So I'm thinking the mean for someone like Simon on a healthy population would be about 0.54, something like that. So that's the mean. So if Simon wants to be a competitive guy, hey, I want to be in the top 25% of healthy men my age, then maybe he'd be looking at like, I don't know, 0.50, 0.49, something like that, Simon. Point being this, even healthy people, the lines go up, right? This is healthy people, these cohorts. The lines go up. The train, the IMT train, is going to a train station. Now that train station, the final stop on the train line, is not a happy place, okay? It's not. It's a nice bit of B-roll footage, isn't it? But it eloquently captures what we're looking at with these curve lines. You're on a train. It's going to a destination. We get atherosclerosis over the course of our life, right? And if you're traveling on that train track too quickly, as Lily currently is, and Ford's going up, You're heading towards the train station. Yours truly is heading away from the train station. Now, that's 1 year regression, and that's just 1 year. I don't think I've ever heard of anyone doing it in consecutive years, because our arteries wall gets thicker as we age. Well, like yours truly is going for a second year. You know, I just added a PCSK9. We'll see what it does. I've got some other fun things I'm, cooking on, working on, biohackery stuff. You got to go to my YouTube channel to find out. Oh, Substack. Yeah, I've got a new email newsletter, Substack, for free. simonthebiohacker.substack.com. See, I bet you Lily doesn't know her glycate. I bet she's never done the MVX Plus blood test. Nah. If her glycate is more than 300, she's not going to know what to do. She'll probably have to subscribe to my YouTube channel. Anyway, this is what we're looking at, a train line. So, Simon Hill, if you're watching this, I'm thinking you need to be around here, mate. And, you're going to see your line go up over a couple of years, and then you're going to go, I don't want my line to go up. I want it to go down. And I'll be like, look, healthy people's line goes up. Only lunatics see it go down. You're not a lunatic. You talk to doctors that swear at you. They use words like guidelines. Good grief. My doctor ever uses the word guidelines. I'm going to use the F word. I'm like, don't swear at me, and otherwise I won't swear at you. So that's what we're looking at with IMT. So let me just wrap up here, okay? So in closing, are you getting the general idea as to why it's so important to monitor your IMT every year? We see a lot of talk online about the coronary scans, a coronary artery calcium scan and a CT angiogram, which is the gold standard, neither of which are suitable annual tracking vehicles because they both subject the patient to radiation, and CT angiograms are very expensive. The beauty of a CIMT is that even if you want to get, let's say, the gold standard CT angiogram maybe every 5 to 7 years if you're a real health enthusiast, get a CIMT done every year. It's like an overall assessment. Hey, I'm changing my diet, I'm adding lipid-lowering therapy, I'm doing this, I'm doing that, and I want to know year on year, how's my train doing on the train line? Okay? That's why you get this scan done. And you can see, Dr. Lily Johnston, her train's been traveling way too quickly the last 2 years. Ford Brewer's train's going the wrong way. Now listen, what can I say? I'm selling my own YouTube channel. My train's going backwards down the track. At least it has done for the last year. And I'm determined that it's going to do so for a second consecutive year, which to my knowledge, no one's ever documented. Every scan I've ever done in the description box. So, if you like my content, you like these explanations, you want to stay tuned to all of the ideas and things that I'm doing to reverse my train down the track, then you got to click the subscribe button, right? Drop a comment. It feeds the algorithm. You got to give me incentive to get this out there. Save your life, save you from being maimed by a heart attack or a stroke. You know the numbers. I've told them in prior videos. Number one thing that will kill people, number one thing that will maim people for life is atherosclerosis, thickening and plaquing of the arteries, okay? So, stay tuned. There's going to be a lot more to come, and I will catch you next time.